Quincy, Illinois, the river keeps inching up. Folks have been trying to save everything as best they can. It really is a battle that's being fought inch by inch.
As the summer waned on and it kept raining, yeah, it was very concerning.
These fronts would collide in here over Missouri and Iowa and stall, and it would rain for days and days and days. And the levees were just popping like dominoes, one after the other.
I noticed that there were National Guard helicopters flying in circles, and I pretty much knew what that meant. I knew that there was a imminent failure or a failure in progress.
When the levee broke in West Quincy, that's 14,000 acres. Those farmers lost their livelihood.
The levee gave way between the Quincy Bayview Bridge and the railroad bridge.
We were out there, you could hear the trees crashing, and then we started getting the hell out of there.
The airco station in West Quincy burst into flames.
The rain barge is lodged in the canopy that was over the gas pumps.
I turned and this huge ball of flame. The extent of the damage was just unbelievable. Hundreds of acres, thousands of acres flooded.
We were fortunate, very blessed that no one lost their life. It would be pretty unbelievable, way beyond coincidence, that you had this major catastrophe and the first person at the scene is a well-known convicted arsonist.
James Scott, I had dealt with James Scott on numerous occasions.
I started getting in trouble years ago, you know, stealing and robbing mailboxes and, you know, arsons coming to play.
There was a nice big brick building.
It made a hell of a fire.
It did.
How old? He was like 10 or something?
See, that would have been 80 or 81 probably. Yeah. And he was born in, so I'd say around 12.
Well, see, I remember coming down here and watching it burn. It was a heck of a fire. It was quite the spectacle.
I think it was a fascination with fire. I never thought of the after effect of what's going to happen. You know, by just a spark of a lighter or a strike of a match.
I had arrested him in the late 80s for several different arsons. One arson he committed with a young lady inside the house, inside an apartment house. He was mad at her.
Got out in April of '91, April Fool's Day, matter of fact. On July 16th, the levee broke. Everybody knew about the flood. I was on the levee and helping out, doing what I can anyway. When the levee failed, the water started coming in. We started hearing trees fall. During that time, the news coverage started.
Have an eyewitness, if we could. Why don't you come on over here?
10 o'clock news, and you got a hold of me saying, "Are you watching this?" I said, "Yes, I am." And then they were interviewing Jim Scott.
Who's the first one on the scene but Jimmy Scott? The first one to see it break, but Jimmy Scott. What the heck's he doing over there?
You weren't there at the levee when the break occurred?
No, everybody else left. You know, I decided I'd stick around to the next crew come. I guess National Guard or something coming at 8 o'clock during their 12-hour shifts. And I decided, you know, I'd walk some more, you know, check it out. And when I went back down that way, I seen a hole. I tried, you know, throwing sandbags, but it didn't work. And then, you know, it just...
I know, you tried really hard.
And people that worked on that levee were filthy, sweaty, because they were wearing vests, which he didn't have on. So I'm looking at him thinking, it just doesn't add up.
I was actually working a separate case against Jimmy Scott in reference to bad checks. There was another case against him in reference to a vehicle burglary, which they already had him picked out a full lineup. So there was already a warrant out for his arrest.
And so we took him in and talked to him about his bad check case. Talked to him about the burglary. We talked to him about the armed robbery and the purse snatching, and we talked to him about the levee break. He said he took several sandbags, numerous sandbags, out of what he described as a depressed area.
Every so often they had sandbags that you can use to shore up depressed areas. And I moved 4 or 5 sandbags from on the brim, moved to the cap to a depressed area.
To me, it's like if I go to the emergency room, I've got a splinter, nobody's paying attention, so I lop off my hand, and now I've got attention. It didn't add up.
Jimmy knew he was going to get in trouble for it. Yeah. Plus, he's been through the system, so he knew there's consequences to your actions.
If a criminal tells you something, or anybody tells you something, this is what happened, they don't necessarily tell you every detail. Maybe I moved 4 sandbags out of a depressed area, and maybe I moved them and did a little digging, who knows? But he owns up to breaking the levee.
I don't believe my actions caused the levee to fail. If it was that wasn't my intention.
The river was a foot higher the day before he broke it. I believe that what caused that levee to break was James Robert Scott.
Everybody said that, because of my past, there was no way he was over there doing good, or there was no way that he was over there, trying to help out. He was over there trying to cause trouble. And that wasn't the case.
There was an automatic centering on Mr. Scott, not just as a possible suspect, but they were convinced that he was the one that done it. We made it through West Quincy before the water actually come up on the highways. We went right to the area flood engineer office. A couple of Quincy police detectives come to the office and stated that they knew who done it. That was the day the levee broke. That was literally within a few minutes. Was it possible to do it in that fashion? Yes, it was. Was it possible for Mr. Scott to do it? It certainly was. It was also possible for almost anybody else there to do it.
How they convicted this man bothers me. I've been on the river my whole life. I know the river like the back of my hand. That's all I've ever did. I don't think he did what they said he did. They didn't allow nobody on from there to there. They didn't allow nobody on that levee. For a simple reason why. They knew it was going to break because of that boil. They knew it was going to. It had to. I think it's bull. I don't think it's right.
My parents dictated a lot. I don't believe I was treated fairly.
The public defender called me. I didn't know who he was. Called me one day and just said they were having a retrial of the James Scott scenario. Did I know anything about it? And I said very little. I know the guy was tried, but that's all I know. Which was good. He wanted somebody that didn't have a previous bias. So he asked me if I'd be available to be an expert witness, and I said yeah. The first day I sat and looked at the films, I thought, yeah, this levee was going to break. It wasn't a matter of if, it was when and where. I think it's really, really unlikely that anybody could have gone out on that levee on that day under the conditions that it was barely surviving at and had done anything to create a breach and then live to tell the tale.
You can see that levee break, you can see the progression, and so it did give people time to get away.
Him, who was there at the time, at the break of the levee, the one he caused, had plenty of time to walk away. Right. There's only going to be so much coming across until it has a chance to erode more of that away. And the more it erodes away, the stronger it's coming through.
Once the water comes across a levee that's that wet, and you've got all these sandbags piled up, they come apart real fast. The thing just falls apart. It's almost like an explosion. It happens so fast.
When our expert witness David Hammer got on the stand, testified, but he said there were 6 points that a levee would fail. He said most levees have 1, 2, 3. This particular levee had all 6 points of failure. I didn't believe that there was a way they was going to find me guilty, but I knew that I had a tall order or a tall mountain to climb because of what I was up against. I think the jury was out 2 hours or so, 3 hours, somewhere around there, and they come back with a guilty verdict. I was shocked. I remember turning and looking at Mom and Dad, and they just had a look on their face like, why? Why is this happening?
I've had people come to me afterwards and ask, well, you don't really think he did that? Well, yeah, of course I do. I know that Jimmy Scott broke the levee in 1993. Absolutely. There's no doubt in the mind.
There was a lot of nonsense being said by people that should have known better, including the prosecuting attorney saying this levee was rock solid, when there had been 10 levee failures or 11 in the previous week, and this is the next stop on the domino chain. That was a foolish statement to make. It was not true, and it put a person in prison. It helped put a person in prison for life.
Well, they was driving bulldozers up down side of that levee, and that didn't do it. So you tell me one man pulled a bag off and did it? Oh, come on. The river did it, and that's a fact.
Everything I've lost, I can't get back. My family, friends, my chance to have a family and children, and that didn't happen because of this case.
It's slam dunk as far as I'm concerned.
I don't have any trouble going to sleep at night.
No.